So welcome to the Theatre of Dreams. You're finding a theatre of dreams where two of us are feeling quite relieved, maybe a little bit less heavy, and somebody, despite it being her birthday, might be feeling a little bit more, just a little bit more down. But first of all, Erin, happy birthday!
Thank you, Rod.
The big 19.
Yep, 19 today.
Harry, do you remember those distant days at all? Not
Oh,
so
such a
distant
long
for you,
time ago.
Harry.
Well, 4 years ago, so it feels like everything blurs into one, especially when the football's been poor for the last 13 years. But do you know what, Rod? They've been battered in Manchester. They've been battered in Bodo, and I had a battered cod last night. I'm absolutely ecstatic. It's been a brilliant week for me as a Manchester United fan.
Well, look, let's just get straight into it. Let's go to Old Trafford, 12:30 on Saturday. I was there. I gotta say, the pre-match atmosphere in the East Stand in the bar in this behind was really good, right? Lots of singing, few pints had beforehand. We got into the stands. And for once, actually, for once, we weren't let down. It was quite an unbelievable game, wasn't it? For United, from a United point of view, anyway. That's I put it that way.
Yeah, if I take it from a United point of view, it was what a turnaround from the Brighton game. I remember when we were there, and it was Old Trafford felt so deflated. You could just from the whole way through the game, it was just frustration. And then looking at it was just that game of football was of a long gone era where we actually enjoyed a full 90 minutes worth of football. I actually enjoyed watching United for once. I wasn't sort of looking from behind covered eyes or anything. And of course, it's a brilliant start for Michael Carrick. What a way to lead your team in your first game against your biggest rivals. 2-0, could have been five, could have been six. But hey ho, let's well, he set the bar very high, so I'm looking forward to see what happens in the coming weeks. But on the red side of Manchester, very very happy by the looks of Erin's face. I don't think it was quite so blissful in the blue side.
No, no,
Aaron,
no.
what were your feelings as you were watching the game? Sorry to put you through it, but I'm just interested.
Well, watching that, I mean, my house goes to war for 90 minutes. My dad's a red, so but he sits on one side of the room. We have to sit on the other. But yeah, it just wasn't good. It was just, I mean, as Harry said, it could have been five or six. The only person that kept that from being ridiculously embarrassing was Donnarumma.
Mm,
Was
mm.
Donnarumma.
Yeah.
I just said him and Kuzanov should have been the only ones been allowed back on the bus at the end of that game. The rest of them should have been made to walk back to the training ground.
So let's just talk about the teams first of all. Let's start with City.
Mm.
You had Kusanov and is it Alien?
Yes.
And no, that's not your regular back
No.
pairing. You are suffering at the back at the moment.
Yeah.
Who are you missing there?
Ruben Diaz and Josko Gvardiol.
Of course, of course. And so and you set up I believe in a sort of diamond 4-1-4-1, which is typical for you. Haaland up front. I gotta say, we managed to keep Haaland in our pockets throughout the game.
I don't think he touched the ball.
Well, interestingly, I saw that you had the lowest XG. I was your lowest XG since the metric began in that game.
It was bad. It was bad.
What do you think it
Everything about
was?
that game was just bad. They just didn't look up for it from the first minute. We were really sloppy, and I think as well you noticed. Obviously, it's not our usual centre back pairing, but that's not an excuse. You can't like
Mhm.
if that was any other game and we'd put out a performance like that and lost, maybe I wouldn't be so bothered. But I think in that in that game against your biggest rivals and you put out a performance like that, it's not good enough. And we made several silly mistakes that allowed you to get an own goal. I think Mbeumo had several chances within the first 20 minutes, didn't he? From dodgy back passes every time.
Yeah.
And just, I think, what was it? Three disallowed goals. You had two disallowed for offside, and they both did the same thing, which was take it round on a rummer. And again, came from our own mistakes, and you guys capitalised really well on that. And I mean, the second goal from Dorgu, I have never seen such poor defending in all my life. They just
No,
stood there and watched him.
in terms of United's lineup, Harry, I think one of the surprises might have been seeing Maguire with Martinez at the back, possibly.
Mhm.
Casemiro and Mainu in the two in front of the back four was a welcome relief. It was a 4-2-3-1 or 4-4-1, 4-4-2, sorry. I mean, we've been talking about this all the time, but it was a back four, and he managed to get Diallo and Mbeumo. Actually, apparently it's Bumo and Bumo, but I've been calling him Buemo all this time. But anyway, he was booming on Saturday, but he managed to get him in. The big news was Cunha being not playing, and of course, what's his name, Sesko not playing. Those were big calls, weren't they?
Yeah, he did make some big calls. I think when your number nine is scoring, that's their one job. So it's a difficult player to drop. And as well, Cunha, it seemed to sort of come into form in the last game as well, providing an assist. He looked quite confident. But yeah, I think Carrick also got a lot right and a lot of the simple stuff right as well. How long we've been saying play four at the back. I put Maguire in, which dropped from Heaven and Yoro, and I think Yoro hadn't been playing brilliantly well, so that was a good call. I think it also helps as well when you play Bruno Fernandes in the 10, his natural position, the place where he likes to play. And playing Casemiro and Mainu. I was very surprised that Mainu did the full 90, but he looked very, very solid. And I think that's done a massive boost for his confidence. Casemiro as well, he had a fantastic performance. And I think the biggest surprise was how well Mbumo played in the number nine, because as I said, he dropped Sesko, and as Erin said, Boom was a difficult to handle, and it showed just how instrumental the players. I mean, Boom and Diallo have been when they've been out in the Afcon. They look great, and also Patrick Dorgu playing as sort of like a winger. Carrick seemed to get almost pretty much everything right. I think the only thing he needs to go on and practice in the training ground for the Arsenal game is offsides, and telling Bruno Fernandes, Mount, and everyone else, we like to counter attack, we like to be intensive, but try not to go a little bit too soon, because if it wasn't for Bruno Fernandes' big toe, it would have been a lot of fans have said it was 5-0, regardless of what the scoreline is. 3 points against your biggest rivals. It's happy, happy days.
I want to mention Paddy Dorgu because he's playing more as a winger than a defender. I scored on Saturday. I think it was a header, wasn't it? And
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, I like him. I just like Paddy Dorgu because he reminds me a bit of Everett in terms of his pace on the wing. And he just wants to go forward at times,
Yeah.
and he plays with a great freedom, really. And I think having Diallo back and Mbeumo, or Bumo, I should say, and Bumo, was a big difference. But everybody, Harry, I mean, Casemiro played a great game, and we've been very critical of him. I think everybody scored seven and above. I'm not sure I would have given Dallo a seven potentially, but
Yeah.
that was no. Let's talk about that tackle, okay?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
I would think a yellow card. It went to VAR. They didn't see it as a red. A lot of the commentators I saw thought there was no intent. It wasn't an intent, and it was a glancing blow. But it could have so easily been a red card. It would change the reflection of that game, wouldn't it?
I look at this in two ways. So I look at it from being a City fan, and I look at it as a referee as well. So I look at it from two different
Mm-hmm.
ways. If that's me in a game, I probably would have stuck with the yellow card, because obviously you can't see it that far. It was a bad tackle, yeah, but when you look at that in real time, it just looks like he's mistimed it. It doesn't look as if he's come across him.
Intent.
But when you slow it down and what they looked at, then you realise how bad of a tackle that was. But
Yeah.
I think because there's no force behind it's probably the right decision was made. I think on Saturday when I did see it back, I did have a few choice words to say about it. Obviously, the heat of the moment and Derby Day kind of brings out that sort of side of you, doesn't it, being a fan? But it was frustrating. But you look at what Mike Dean had said on Sky Sports, and he was at the top level for how long, and he said, "Oh, it should have been a red card, and the explanation was good." But I think the yellow card probably was the right decision for that. I don't think there was any intent behind it. I don't think he's. But however, you do see those given, even if there's no force behind it.
Yeah.
It's just there's inconsistencies in it, if that makes sense. You do see them given, you don't see them given. But I think it was a feisty game. I thought there was quite a few cards flying about, wasn't there?
There was, and
It's,
it had. I mean, it was a proper derby, wasn't it? I mean, again, I come back to the atmosphere. Old Trafford was rocking on Saturday, and that's not based on. I don't think it was based on expectation. I think it was based on hope, and I think it was based on Carrick being back, and the fact that it was a derby. But if you look at it in some ways, City, I think, are winless in the Premier League in 2026. Isn't that right?
Correct.
You
Draw
know,
specialists.
and I mean, obviously, with the Champions League this week, that's back-to-back defeats. When was the last time you had back-to-back defeats?
Probably November last year or the
Was
year
it?
before.
I, I, I,
November 24, or it's probably much sooner than that because we had a really bad season last year.
yeah.
We had a terrible start to the season as well. I think we had lost to Spurs and then I think we lost to Brighton at the start as well, if I remember correctly.
It was bizarre. It was great. I personally, the game left me with a lot of different feelings. I mean, one of the feelings I had was, where's this been all season? You
Yeah.
know, okay, he played a back four. That was a bit different. He had players back. He dropped players, but there was performances out there that were far and away bigger and better than what we'd had under the previous manager. And you sort of think, was it all down to the Carrick effect? Do they feel like a weight's been lifted off? Was it the fact that it was City and it's a derby? Because you do wonder, where was this all season in a way, Harry? Do you not think so?
yeah, I would sort of like a penny for the thought of Ruben Amram at the moment,
Oh.
being out the job, and it's just like where he'd be thinking, where was that, lads? Where's that been? And I know we've had a lot of players out with AFCON, etc., and that was our sort of first full strength side. But I think as many critics that Amram had, I think you could see that the team was improving a little bit at a time, nothing as massive an increment as that. And when we had a full strength team, and I know that City did have a weakened side, it says enough when you've got two goalkeepers on the bench. They were weakened. I think you can see that all of the little bits that have been failing, sort of, it all culminated together. And I think part of it as well is that new manager bounce, because with the Darren Fletcher appointment, we sort of knew that was going to be a temporary thing. We've seen it. How many times have we seen it when under 18 coaches come up to the main team and all they want to do is get back to where they feel comfortable as quickly as possible? Don't get me wrong. I think Fletcher's going to be a brilliant coach. He's a brilliant coach at the level that he's at the moment. And in the long term, I'm sure he'll be one of the big names up there. But at that moment, it wasn't right for him. Carrick, there was a bit more reassurance. He's got the best win percentage as a Manchester United manager. Yes, he's only had 5 games, but he's won 4 and drawn 1 against some of the big names. He drew against Tuchel. He beat Arteta. He beat Guardiola. He's beaten. The list goes on of how many he's beaten, and I think that does an awful lot. And as you say, I think it just felt like they were. How many times have we said we've been at the bottom of the barrel? This is the worst of the worst, the lowest of the low. But I think that Brighton game really, really felt like that, because we came to the daunting realization that that's it. We're going to have a 40-game season. And the only thing we've got to sort of play for is not only Champions League football, but also pride as well. And I think every single United player on that pitch can say that for once they were worth playing for that shirt, and they earned their place in that squad. And I don't think we could have said that about a full Manchester United starting 11 until, I don't think, the Lyon game, which might have been an anomaly in the Europa League last season. But it seems like a long time since every single player on the pitch really, really earned the stripes on the day.
I think what was key for me was that Carrick managed to come up with a formation that allowed you to play Minu and Fernandes together. with Navanda's playing as a 10. Now, I think part of the problem is I've always seen Cunha and Mbeumo more as a 10 than a 9, if you like. And I think also dropping Cunha was and Sesko was a big call, but the ability to get Mainu and Bruno on the pitch at the same time meant that you had two ball players, and also you had pace in the counter attack. And I think I would love to see the stats right across Europe, because I think that maybe counter-attacking football is coming back a little bit, where teams are playing teams like City, who can play with a block and can play with a lot of possession, and hitting them on the counter is one way of going. And we had more pace with Diallo and Dorgu, and we certainly had more technical ability in the middle of the park with Mainu and Fernandes playing there. So that made a big difference. But it was also a huge call, even to put Maguire in there. Maguire hadn't played much football for ages.
No, not at all. And
no, it's okay. Go on.
Well, I was just going to say, it almost feels as though Carrick sort of played the players to their strengths, if that makes sense. Haaland, big tall player, stick your biggest player on him, Harry Maguire, and Martinez with that pace as well. I think he had a tremendous game, especially silencing all the critics before the match. And as you said, Rod, that pace, we could see that. It's always, when Amrin was playing, he was so focused on having the highest possession stat rather than actually most goals, whereas Carrick sort of just said sort of play with a bit of freedom. And I think that the formations that he did play and the style that he played, it allowed for these players to sort of thrive and sort of like take a bit more risks. Amrin was very, very meticulous. You have to play like this, you have to play like this. The freedom which you could see Bruno playing in, he seemed like he was a player that we haven't seen for a while. Mainu as well in that much more favoured role alongside Casemiro. It just seemed as though everybody was in the right place. And it sounds so stupid, but how long have we been saying you get Mainu into that squad with Bruno at the same time, and that's your answer. And hopefully, touch wood, that's what we're going to see for the next few games, or if not, to the end of the season.
Yeah, and I think for City, just come back on it, Erin. I've got here Holland's not scored an open play in a month, and it's only had one penalty in 8 games. And obviously he not being at it, and the likes of Foden not being at it is a big impact to you.
It is, and I think I just want to touch on that with Haaland. I think it's fatigue. I really do. I think because Marmoush has been away at AFCON for the last month and a bit. He's only came back yesterday, was subbed on at 70 minutes. He was the only change we made last night against Bodo Glimt. But I think it's fatigue. I think because he's played in every single game in every competition at least once. And I genuinely think the point during the season, and I know we've spoken about it previously, the amount of games that footballers are having to play this year and have been, and obviously with international tournaments coming thick and fast as well, he'll be off to the World Cup no doubt in a couple of months' time. I think it gets a point. I think it's both physical and mental fatigue. I think you get annoyed when you don't get the service. I mean, you obviously said about your counter-attacking football coming back, and teams like City being subjected to that. We have been found out. We cannot play the same way we did 3 or 4 years ago. It doesn't work. We can't play the same way we won the treble. It will not work. Teams know how to break us down, and I think Haaland not scoring in open play for the last month, it's a fatigue problem. I think he needs a break.
Yeah.
And you can see, and you saw it in his interview last night. He was frustrated. He said the senior players like himself, Reinders, Foden, Donnarumma, people like that need to take responsibility for this. It's not good enough. Having not won a game since December, it's not good enough. And I think you can see how frustrated he actually is. And you can tell on the pitch as well when he's not getting this. You saw from his reactions in the derby, he wanted the ball played through, he wasn't getting it, he was throwing his arms about, he wasn't happy. But I think it genuinely comes down to a fatigue problem. I just think he's knackered.
And at the end of the day, they are only humans. They may be supreme
Exactly.
athletes, but they're playing a lot. I mean, when was the last time there was just a break in football? And they've got a World Cup this summer. You know, it's
He's not a robot as everyone thinks he is.
no, he's not. And I think the thing overall in the league was that with Arsenal drawn to heroic Forest, nobody really took advantage over the weekend. Liverpool 1-1 with Burnley was a real surprise for me, and Tottenham losing again despite their win midweek put more pressure on Frank, especially possibly because it was a London derby, and Villa losing on Sunday against Everton. That was a huge shock as well.
That to me was the shock of the weekend. Because no one, they had the opportunity to go second. Arsenal had the opportunity. I think it was going 9 points clear, but no one took advantage of City dropping points.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's turn to Alty for a minute at the weekend. I need to praise myself of the result. I think they lost, didn't they?
Yeah.
They were lost though, and they were playing away. Was it Hartlepool?
Yeah, we were live on DAZN at 12:30. That day just needs to be erased from my memory. It never happened. Saturday just did not happen in football for me. I just ignore it. It didn't happen.
And they had Hartlepool had just been taken over by yet another American businessman, somebody called Landon Smith. Doesn't sound very American to me, does it? Landon Smith. And anyway, it was 0-0 at half time. A penalty in the 83rd minute. Have you seen any of the highlights of the penalty? What happened there, guys?
It looked more. I don't know whether you agree with me on this, Harry. I don't know whether you've seen it. I think it was harsh. I'm not convinced it should have been a penalty. Do you know when they sort of pull each other in the box? Like they're all giving
Yeah.
this, giving a bit of that. He goes down, and I'm not convinced by it. Don't know what you
Yeah,
think.
I think I'm very much the same. It felt like both of them going for the ball. As you say, there's a bit of what it's so late on in the game, 83rd minute, and you just try even just a point would have done a massive thing for Olty. So I just think it's over keen from them. I think it's one of the there's no consistency at the moment in terms of officiating up and down the league. So as we said with the Dello thing, it could have been given here, it could have been given there. I think Olty fans will feel very hard done by from it. But yeah, Hartlepool they'll be buzzing with it. But yeah, if you look at the table, it's just that one decision just really throws doubt into Altrincham because if Hartlepool are ninth in the league, that would have been a brilliant point, especially so far from home. And it leaves Altrincham on 26 points, and Sutton United are on 24, and they're in the relegation zone at the moment. So
Yeah.
it's like these small decisions will
Yeah.
come back to it at the end of the season, and we could go, was it this? Was it that? Regardless of what it is, Alty fans may feel quite hard done by. I want to say one thing though. I've asked when I've been on the tram into the games. I've asked a few fans. Have gone, oh, what are you thinking about relegation? Because it's obviously a
There
pressing
is
thing.
it.
And some of them said we'd be quite pleased to go down because it means we can have a pint in the terraces. So I
Exactly.
mean, there's silver linings to all things, but it's
I do,
yeah,
I
it'd
do
be
want to touch on that quickly if I can, with in terms of relegation. So obviously we lost. You can say it was this, it was that, it was this decision in this game. But the thing that worries me is on Saturday after that game, we were the early kickoff, so we couldn't have done anything to change what happened later on in the afternoon. Aldershot won, so they leapfrogged us. Sutton drew last minute with Forest Green, and that I thought I looked at that on Sky. So I was watching Soccer Saturday on Sky, and obviously it all comes up at the bottom, doesn't it? And I
yeah,
just
yeah.
kind of sat there and I went, "Oh my God, please tell me this isn't happening." But it is 10 years since we got relegated, and that was the start of a really bad time for the club. And I think you look at the stats, and stats often do say teams that come up do often go back down within a 5 to 10 year period. It is a genuine possibility, and I really hope that it doesn't, because it triggered a very bad time. We went through back to back relegations that year. I think we got
Yeah.
put down back
Well,
into we got put into the Northern Prem. But
Well, how
really,
often does that
Yeah.
happen? Say team slide. So it's one win in six, and that was 5 games back. It was the start of the run.
it's gone for
26 points. Doesn't seem that long ago since Altrincham were just just in the playoff positions almost,
Yeah.
and just they've slid down. Those five defeats in a row really, really, really hurt.
It just shows how dangerous the league can be, and how quickly things can turn around. We've said so many weeks now, where are the points going to come from? We've got Forest Green tonight at 7:45, and I'm thinking I can't see much coming from that. I'm hoping that there'll be a stroke of sort of like some magic from somewhere. But again, if you just look at the fixture list,
Evil set of
it's
fixtures that.
yeah, it's not what you want at all. We've got Forest Green away tonight, which that'll be difficult. And then on Saturday we're home at Boreham Wood. Then we've got Carlisle. I know Morecambe. They are below us currently in the league, but they beat us even when they had more. I think the number of players they had who had actually registered for 24 hours was an eye-staggering number. And then we've got Yeovil, and I can't really see any points coming until possibly the second week in February. And also this, when you get into the February month as well, we play on Saturday the 7th, and then we play on Tuesday the 10th. So the fixtures do stack up, and you can see with the squad there is some fatigue in there. I think it's one of those things where you look at the stats and you can say this, we were wherever, we were so close to playoffs or whatever. Now's the time for Alty to sort of rescue this season, because if you leave it too late, we've seen how quickly things can get away from them. And the other thing that is very scary about the league as well is the point difference in the relegation zone, which is what it might come down to at the end. There's only 5 points between 21st and 24th with Gateshead. Gateshead haven't won in the last, 5 games in a row. So we definitely need to try and get some results, because if someone like Aldershot Town, that one game has thrown them up to 17th. So it can change. It's just, when are those points going to arrive? And if they do, please arrive sometime in the near future, please.
Just before we move on to Champions League, just some of the gossip, some of the headlines around the weekend. Oliver Glasner, suddenly Palace is not a very happy place for him, but he hasn't helped himself by calling out really the owners in an indirect statement. What did you make of that?
I thought that was bad. I don't know. I don't like it when they do that. I really don't. I mean, yeah, if you owners are really, really bad, and you obviously know that they're killing the club, then yeah, by all means, speak out. But what's gone on at Palace over the last year? They won the first trophy in the history, didn't they? They won the Community Shield. They had a really good side. I mean, obviously, Mark Gay's just come to City in the last couple of days. His signing was announced on Monday.
Yeah,
great signing for us. Definitely a position we needed to invest in, and I think he's going to be a brilliant signing. But I think for me, what's annoying, I think, as a Palace fan, if that's me and my manager's come out and said that Gay's already gone, he basically come out and said, yeah, he's in the final stages of a deal, he's gone. I'm going at the end of the season, I'm not sticking around now because you've sold him. That's what he said last year. He said, if they sell the captain, I'm not staying. He pretty much, I think he had a lot to do with the transfer to Liverpool that fell through. He had a lot to do with that. He's also pretty much said the club are open to selling Mateta if the offer comes in. If I'm a Palace fan and I hear all three of those bits of news in one press conference, I think my head's going to be on Mars somewhere. I'm not taking that, but I think it was bad and he's taken the wrong approach.
I was thinking, was he trying to almost force a change? Has he been tipped off for a job? And with the way United was, I was thinking, don't tell us we're going for Glasner as a coach. I don't think we would at all. But it was unlike him, and not almost. It's unlike the profile of him as a manager, because he doesn't say that much often. But suddenly he's kicked off big style. It was uncharacteristic, and you just wonder what is going on there. And also just staying in. Sorry, Harry.
I was just going to say, I think, Erin, what you said there about the way that he's handled it is I think Roger, you're saying that he might go to United or whatever. If you're Manchester United sort of scouting around or whatever, that bridge is now completely gone, because the way that he's spoken out against the owners, you've just had to sack someone for speaking out against you. There's no way you're going to bring in somebody who's just done that at Crystal Palace. I think it's, as Erin said, it's such a Crystal Palace. I thought we had it bad as United fans in the last couple of weeks, but that's horrendous. The other name with that Crystal Palace role, which is being linked, is Bournemouth's Iraola because he's under pressure at Bournemouth. The owner of Bournemouth, Bill Foley, he flew out to England last April for talks about his contract. No news has come out since then. So it looks as if he's probably going to be on the move in the summer. Will he be making the short trip around the M25 into South London, or be coming up to Manchester? I'm not quite sure. But these are two managers who are very much hot property. The fact that both are head coaches, Iraola being more of a cool head. I think as a United fan, every time I see some form of managerial turmoil or doubts or whatever, I've always got to keep my ear close to the ground just to see what could happen. For me, as these two things stand, I think Glasner, I just don't want him anywhere.
No, no.
I know he's just won an FA Cup. I just don't want any more drama. And that press conference was just the epitome of soap opera drama, which we don't need in a press conference in Manchester.
Just to clarify, I wouldn't want Oliver Glasner either, and you don't want that type of behaviour in the Forsyth. So just to be clear on that, let's be. I want to be frank. Actually, Thomas Frank at Spurs.
Nice.
When your own fans are chanting against you, you're being sacked in the morning. It doesn't feel good, does it? Really, no. It's amazing how quickly you can go to zero as a manager, never mind a player. And the question will be whether the Champions League result last night will have eased, or whether he's on a P45 very soon.
I don't think that would be enough to save his job. I don't think you can say, "Oh, just go and win against Dortmund and your job's safe." I think you've got to start seeing the improvements. And yeah, I agree. It's not a good look when your own fans want you out of the club. That's or when they're chanting against you. It's not a good look for him, and he'll feel that as well. I mean, I like the guy. I really do. And I admire what he did at Brentford. He did such a good job there with a team that no one really expected to be as well. I'm going to sound really horrible. No one expected him to be as good as they were, because they hadn't had that much experience and everything. But I feel like I don't know if this is the right way to say it. I think the job may have been too soon or too quick, taking on a job like the Spurs job, because there's a lot. Me and my dad have had this conversation before, and my uncle is a Spurs fan, and he'll say the same thing. Spurs fans can be brutal, or they can be really nice. It just depends on how you're doing. They can turn very quickly, or they can be a really good fan base. It just depends on how things are going. But I think for Thomas Frank, I think he's got to start seeing improvements in the Prem. I think he maybe have 2 or 3 games. Or he might pull a Daniel Farke. You don't know. He gets told he has 2 games to save his job, and then have a masterclass in both games and keep his job. You don't know, do you?
You don't know. This turned to the Champions League. It was league matches last night on Tuesday, of course. We'll start with the little place called Bodo Glimt. Now, somebody was saying that Bodo Glimt is about the size of Sale. Right, brilliant. I think it's got 45,000 people or something like that. So it was basically Sale FC play City FC. Now, what did you make of the game, Erin, from just a tactical point of view?
I'm not gonna lie, Rod. I didn't actually watch it last night. I was out celebrating with some uni friends. We didn't see it. However, I had it on my phone, and I'm there trying to enjoy a pizza in Altrincham, just trying to have a nice time, and it comes up 1-0. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm kind of used to that. We go 1-0. It's to 2, and I'm thinking, oh my God, what is going on here? And then it got to 3, and then Roger got sent off. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. How are you letting this happen? But I think we did watch a tad bit of it, and it wasn't good enough again. It was just poor performance.
Well, I mean, you had nearly 66% of possession. You had 16 shots versus their 8. Your XG, though, was 116 versus theirs 135, because you only had 5 shots on target. As I said before, my take on it was they played a sort of low block. They were playing on the counter. I got to say, their goals were good goals. They really were good goals.
They got the reward for what they did. I mean, City started well with a couple of opportunities, but then when you let a side like that get in the game, they're going to take it, and the underdogs will have been up for it. Do you know, the thing that makes it worse as a City fan is when you read the stuff afterwards. That is the first time they've ever won in the Champions League.
Really?
They have never won in the Champions League.
Mad.
They've won in Europa 100%, because they beat Spurs. They beat
Yeah,
Spurs
yeah,
last year. Well,
yeah.
just Spurs things really there, but for us, that was their first win in the Champions League, and I think to do another poor performance after you're already getting blasted by your fans for Saturday. You'd want things here. We need to get things right, and they just didn't. Just not good enough again, and it's so frustrating.
So it ended Bodo Glimt 3, City 1. It was the opposite scoreline for Arsenal. They were away at Inter Milan. And you got to say, Gabriel Jesus was fantastic in that game, wasn't he? He got a brace on 10 and 31. Gyökeres scored as well. They keep on marching on, don't they, Arsenal?
They do.
Yeah, unbeaten in the last 7. I just hope come the game against United, please start Victor Gyökeres in the number 9 rather than Gabriel Jesus, and we might get a result there. But yeah, I think there's got to be. I think the manager got the right call playing Jesus last night, and I think
Jesus. Sorry.
It's just belter after belter today from you, Rod. But it was, I think Jesus it was his first goal in the Champions League, and I think it's something like 5 years or something like that. So he was absolutely over the moon with it. I think Arsenal fans will be absolutely over the moon with it as well, because they're currently top of the league standings in the Champions League. I know. I've just thankfully it does, just by finishing the top of the group doesn't make you get a better seeding pool or whatever. You still just get thrown in with the rest of them. But yeah, I think there'll be question marks around it if Jesus doesn't start on the weekend. But yeah, again, Arsenal just seem to be marching on in European football, which is slightly annoying to say.
Well, yeah. Did you see Madrid's win over Monaco? Mbappe's goals.
Yeah.
I think emphatic is the word that comes to mind. It's Real Madrid. They've been having a torrid time as of late, getting knocked out by second division side in the Spanish Cup, missing out on the Spanish Super Cup against Barcelona. Alonso leaving, new manager coming in, being the first manager to lose on the opening day. But then, putting 6 past against Monaco in the Champions League, I think that sort of calmed the nerves a little bit around Madrid and in the Bernabeu. But yeah, and I also quite liked Jude Bellingham's celebration when he was cheersing to the fans. Loved a bit of that. He's been caught partying, or some rumours have been partying.
They're saying that his poor form has been that he's been sampling too many bars around Madrid. That was what that was, basically a little nod back to the fans.
I think the coach should be saying, like, every goal you score, lads, is a number of pints that Jude can have in the pub tonight. So I think he'll be absolutely static or staggered this morning, should I say, if he's had 6. But yeah, it's exactly what he wants to see. Talk about a reactionary result, 6-1 against Monaco. Happy days.
Another surprise with Sporting beating Paris Saint-Germain 2-1 last night as well.
Yeah, PSG haven't had a good season, have they, this year? They won everything that there was to win. Last season, they won all 6 trophies, but just they've underperformed a bit, I think, this season. I think I can't remember what his name is now. Their manager, I can't remember what his name. It's gonna really annoy me now. I can't remember what his name is.
Enrique.
That's it.
Yeah.
He's basically confirmed he's not staying at the end of the season.
Nope.
He's gonna go.
He's gonna go as well.
He's linked with you
United
as well, isn't he?
United.
He's linked with you. There's a few of them that are on that list that have basically said, "Oh, I'm leaving at the end of the season."
Erin, some people still like to go to United. We're still a reasonably big club.
Oh no, 100% you are. I can't deny that. Anyone would want that job. Anybody would want that job. It's
interesting.
The other thing I'd say about PSG as well, I think they got knocked out by their close. I think it's the closest rivals in terms of location that there is, because they share the same complex. Paris FC knocked them out in the round of 32 in the French Cup.
They're literally aren't they? Next to each other.
It's mental. It used to be, I think it was Dundee, the Dundee Derby. God, I need to check this from your pub quiz tonight. But the Dundee Derby used to be the closest geographical derby between the two. But yeah, it's mental. Could you imagine United and City having a stadium which is I think it's probably less than 20 yards away from each other. I think the crowd
God.
control would be slightly
Harry, I've got it
interesting.
for you. The
Go on.
Dundee Derby between them is they're 183 yards away from each other. So it's known as
Wow.
it's the closest derby in Britain.
Wow. Good stats. I like your stats, Aaron.
Thank you.
And also last night we mentioned it already. Tottenham beat Borussia Dortmund 2-0. Romero on 14 and Slanky, sorry, on 37. And Dortmund suffering a red card in 26th minute with Svensson being sent off. Welcome relief to Thomas Frank. Do you think that saves his job at the moment?
No, no.
And I think it delays it by a week. I feel incredibly sorry. I feel incredibly sorry for Thomas Frank. I think he's a fantastic coach. I think he earned his opportunity to get the Tottenham gig. But we saw that with Nuno. He earned his stripes, and then he was put in, and it's such a toxic. It's such a toxic environment to be, especially because of what they're charging at the ground. Because obviously they've got this brand new stadium. It's all well and good having the greatest infrastructure, but if you don't see the results on the pitch, the fans will kick off. I think Frank. I think he is a good coach. I think he is getting more stressed because I think you can just see that with how aggressively he's chewing them on the touchline.
Yeah.
But I think he's one of those coaches which I would have had at United. I still think I would. I still think he does have that potential. It's just that North London is such a difficult place, and because Spurs were gifted a trophy last season, they've sort of tasted what silverware was and what success is. The bar's incredibly high.
Shots
Let's
fired.
just mention last night in the FA Cup. I think Salford beat Swindon Town 3-2.
Yeah.
So they're through to the fourth round. There was a bunch of games in the Championship. I won't go through them all. Wrexham were held to a draw against Leicester City. I always look out for Wrexham just because back-to-back promotions, it's quite interesting. And in the National League, I'm just looking at the National League in terms of Alty's situation in and around them. I don't see any teams that were in and around them playing last night.
Gateshead played last night, who are below us, but they got beat again. That was by Hartlepool. It was two quick fire goals. Both goals for them came in the 83rd and 89th minute. And Gateshead had done well to hold on to that point.
And Bourne Wood, who are currently sitting second, getting beat by Scunthorpe, who are
I think
that gives me a little bit of hope heading into Saturday.
I think the game to watch in the National League today is probably that Carlisle York City game. Two of the big guns going for the title. I think that's going to be an absolute belter. I think I'll distract myself from the Forest Green Altrincham game and just sort of have Radio Robbins in the background, just sort of listening in every now and again. But yeah, I think that's going to be an absolute cracker of a game. And of course, as well, we've got Liverpool in action in the Champions League tonight as well, I believe, because it just seems to be this time of year, it's game after game after game after game. And I love it because I don't know if you're the same, Rob, but I quite like it being a neutral, just being able to enjoy watching games of football without having get my team ripped apart on the Theatres of Dreams podcast.
Well, tonight, what's interesting is both Manchester teams are in action in the Women's League Cup semi-final. Manchester United are away at Arsenal at 7 o'clock and City are at home to Chelsea. That could obviously set up a final between the two teams. That would be a fantastic final, wouldn't it?
It would be, and both of those games, I'll be keeping an eye on the Arsenal United score, but I have tickets to go and watch City Chelsea tonight, so I'm hoping that we might get to the finals as a little birthday present from them. I would like that quite a lot, but
and as you said,
if we do knock them out, this will be our second consecutive final. We made the final of the competition last year, lost out to Chelsea, only very narrowly. It was a very good game, but I think if you could imagine that, a Manchester derby final, that would be incredible.
It would be really incredible, but not easy games tonight. All four teams are playing well in the league, and as you say tonight in the National League, there are five games. Alty are in action at 7:45 against Forest Green Rovers. Somebody remind me where Forest Green is.
It's a vegan club. They're
It's a
just their
what?
own. It's a vegan club. The whole club is vegan. Like the players, the staff, the ground. It's all vegan. And am I right in
All
saying it's the
vegan.
whole thing? The whole thing. Am I right in saying, Harry, their stadium is made of wood as well, or is that like
Well, the
completely
the
wrong?
planning on having it, the planning on having it all converted. But yeah, with this vegan, sorry, I don't know why I said like Boris Johnson, but this vegan team just slipped out. I'm sorry. There's got to be the players after a game or something. I'm sure one or two of them is having a steak or something. Or I don't know if they've got to like track everything. But yeah, it's a brilliant club. Shame about the kits being a little bit of an eyesore. But yeah, a big team. They've been up in the. I think they've been all the way up into the. Is it League One? They've been, or they've been higher than
Yeah,
that. They're
League
a
One.
big team. League One. Yeah, Robbie Savage currently at the wheel. Seems to be doing a decent enough job. Anyway, but I won't be making the trip down to Gloucester tonight. But yeah, I think it's one of those stadiums which I think I would like to go to just to sample the pies at least. Anyway, I think it's the only time I'd willingly have a vegan pie in the terraces.
So this stat about them all being a vegan club, does that mean as a player you have to be vegan?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's
And
part of it.
you say Robbie Savage actually manages them.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So has Robbie gone vegan?
That's a good. Oh, I don't know actually. That's a good
Oh, I'd
question.
love.
You know,
I bet you in his office he's got a little oven and a bunch of steak pies, and he goes in there and cooks them at lunchtime.
I'm sorry. I can't bring myself. I can't bring myself to like him after what he did to the Alty fans after last time. The way the way he conducted himself at the home fixture was just unbelievable. I think you were there, weren't you, Harry? I'm pretty sure you were there.
Yeah,
And
I,
it was so rude.
yeah, it was very rude. I think it's probably because he saw me tucking into meat and potato pie, with him being going from being a tough tackling footballer, as the Suns say, to a for a staunch vegan. But yeah, not the greatest. I think he's yeah, very good at running his mouth both on the touchline and also on 606. But hey ho, he seems to be doing a decent. He did a decent job at Mac, and he's doing a decent job at Forest Green. I'd be keen to see though if he has kept to this vegan diet, because I'm sure, as you say, Rod, I'm sure he's had a slide chocolate bar every
Oh,
now and again, because
We're
you got to enjoy post football retirement when you can eat whatever you want and do what you like as well.
well, I have to say that
we're asking the important questions here today. We need answers to
Yes,
this now.
we do. We need
we
Robbie.
need it.
Have you gone fully vegan? Can you tell us that you have? Coming to the weekend, then in the Premier League, City play Wolves at 3 o'clock. I can't really see anything other than a City slip up there. Joking, by the
Wow.
way. Joking. And the tea time game is Liverpool at Bournemouth. Other picks. I mean, interestingly, Tottenham are up at Burnley. Burnley need the points. Tottenham under pressure. That could be a really interesting score to keep your eye on. And we'll just drop into the National League. Alty are at home against Boreham Wood on Saturday. I might go to that. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm in Leeds to see my daughter. I can't go to that. So it's a 3 o'clock kickoff. Altrincham, Boreham Wood. Boreham Wood sitting second, only on goal difference actually. So that's a huge game for
The
Alty,
top
isn't it?
three are all level on points. It's
Yeah,
really
they are.
it's mental.
Yeah.
Have you seen how different the National League table? I know Harry mentioned before about how close the relegation spots are. You look at the top six in that: Scunthorpe on 53,
Yeah.
Forest Green in fifth on 54,
I type.
Rochdale 55, and the top three are all on 56. That's a five-way. That's a six-way scrap for the title. That
You do a good run for the next what there must be how many games left? How many games are left in that table? 24, 40, 48. There's what 12. There's what 20 odd games left in that
yeah.
game that league. So you do a good run. You never know.
We need the
And
I
clip
just I
second
just
half
hope
of this season with a little charge. We need that clip.
I just One thing I want to see as well is it's because I'm a YouTube short, so this is my new thing. Scrolling on the YouTube shorts, you get all sorts of like random rubbish on there, but sometimes you get some gold. And the one thing that we need to see DAZN do is the last day of the National League when they go to like different grounds because they never know where the title's going to go. Do you remember those, Rod, on Match of the Day where they used to be like when it's undecided? We need one of those back in the Premier League and also in the National League because
I
yeah,
do
I
like
think
those.
it could go down to the wire. If I'm honest, I'll be enjoying looking at the top half more than the bottom half if Altrincham is involved. But just to say, my hot take for this week, sometimes I do come out with some shockers, but I think I'm right on this. I think Wolves are going to get the 3 points at City this weekend, personally.
That's
No,
not
I
a
do
hot
think.
take. With the way he's going, he's probably more than likely.
Harry, are you doing that
Clip it
for the
up.
wind up, or are you really serious?
No, I'm being genuinely serious. Since Rob Edwards has come in, that team has improved massively. I know that the results weren't there, but you could see off the ball and just the intensity of the games. They were better at the Villa game. It was better. They gave United a good game. I know we were pretty torrid in that match, but they picked up the first win and they got a draw at the weekend. And they got a draw before that as well, so they are picking up points. City is struggling as is. And I think it'd be a game which Wolves would be up for winning because they've gone up to Manchester before and given a team a good game. And if I'm honest, if Wolves just keep on increasing because I think they level on points with Derby's worst tally or whatever, or they're close to overtaking it. They'll be wanting to get as they'll be wanting to get as many points as possible. So and also it winds Erin up and it winds up the whole blue side of Manchester. And bragging rights for the derby and bragging rights for that. Look, even we could get a draw at Wolves. Let's just hope that Wolves can get a win over City. But let's hopefully I'm not eating my own words come this time next week.
I thought we were friends. I thought we were friends, Harry.
All's fair in love and war, but never in football. I mean, we could do you a big favor at the weekend if we get some points against Arsenal down at in London at 4:30 on Sunday. Yeah,
I will say this one time and one time only. Please, Manchester United, beat them. Just win. Please, it's all I ask of you.
We'll do it. We're going to do it. We're 100% going to do it.
Well, it might change. I mean, at the moment, City look like 7 points ahead. They look like runaway winners, don't they? But you know, every game counts. That has been the Theatres of Dreams podcast for another week. You've been listening to the wonderful Erin Carroll, the fantastic Harry Morrell, and the plain ordinary Rod Maxwell. We'll be back next week with you. Until then, wherever you're watching your football, however you're watching it, enjoy. Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Top.